Hey folks, in this video we are going to cover the PS command. The PS command stands for process status and it displays all the currently running processes in your Linux system. So an example would be by just running the PS command, which will show you the processes of the current shell. So if you logged in to a Linux machine and your shell environment is bash, for example, then it will show you the process status of that shell. So when you run the PS command, the output will be in four different columns. One would be PID, process ID, TTY, time, and CMD. And what each stands for, you have that in front of you. But let's go into our Linux machine and run the command, run the PS command. So we are right here. Um, who are we logged in as? We'll run who am I, um, myself, which directory we are in, and which host are you logged in. So we have confirmed, beautiful. We know that we are not logged into the wrong machine. So that's great. Let's clear the screen. Now just simply run the ps command. And for the ps command, you don't need to be root. So when you hit enter, you'll see you get the four columns. First one is process ID. This is the unique process ID of the process that you're running. And in this example, when you run ps command, the bash is your process that is the environment that you have to log in. The second column is the TTY, which is telling you the terminal type that the user logged in to. So the terminal right here, it's actually the console login that we have logged in right here in our terminal. Then we have time. This is the amount of time, oh sorry, amount of CPU in minutes and seconds that the process has been running. And by the way, if you see right here 0000, it means the CPU hasn't done anything to process anything or any request from this shell. That's why you see 0000 and 00. Then the last column is the command. It is the name of the command. So if you're running ps command, let's say to get the status of your terminal, you'll see that it is also getting the ps status of its own command because Linux is so fast that it will go and check all the processes running by that user and it grepped or it got you the ps command itself. All right, so let's move on. The other examples of the ps command is ps minus e, which shows all the running processes that you have in the Linux system. So let's clear the screen and run ps minus e, and you will see all these different processes with this process ID and TTY, the terminal, the time, and the command. So all these processes are running in this environment. Then you have a PSAUX, which shows all the running processes in BSD format. Now, BSD is a Berkeley Systems description. It is something that was used initially when the Unix was became the operating system. So anyway, not to worry about it, and let's not go too much detail into BSD. Let's run ps aux, and you will see a lot more columns now instead of just those four columns. It also tells you the username, the process ID, the CPU's usage, the memory usage, the start time, stop time, and command. So a lot of information, a lot of system administrator run this command as well. Then the next command, that's one of my favorite command every time I need to know or check the status of any process or all the processes in my Linux environment, I run ps-ef, which ef is shows all the running process in full format listing. So if I run ps minus ef and hit enter, you'll see it will give you all the information that you're looking for. And as I said, this is one of my favorite commands. And I've seen a lot of system administrators, engineers are used to using this command and these options. It'll give you the user ID, PID, parent ID command right here, and the time, the TTI session, the session time itself. Moving on to ps minus u username. This command will show you all the processes by the username. So let's say if you wanted to see all the processes just by root, you will run ps minus u and you type root, and it'll give you all the processes that are being managed or running by root. If I wanted to do the same thing for myself, I'll do ps minus u ifzol, and it'll give you all the processes that are running by my user. All right, so let's clear the screen, and now let's do a quick comparison of this command in our Windows environment. So if I wanted to see all the processes running in our Windows environment, we'll pretty much go to a task manager, right click, and click here task manager. And right here you'll see all these processes. These are all the applications running. If you wanted to see all the services, all the processes that are running, just like ps command or ps minus ef command, then you will see all these are the processes that are listed with process ID, with the description, with status, and the group name. So that's how you could get the comparison. Another thing is previously we learned the systemctl command, right? So if I do system CTL status firewall D, you will see that it's giving me the status, which is active, the process ID. You could get some of the information from the ps command as well. So if I do ps minus ef and grep for that process ID, which is what? 750, right? So let's type 750. Oops, right here. 750, hit enter. And right here it is grepping that process. See, firewall D. This is the process. You can also do the same thing by running ps minus ef and grep for firewall D, and it will give you the same information as the PID. So you could get the information of a specific process by running systemctl, and if you do not know the unit name or the process name, then you could run ps command, and you could specify, like, let's say just fire. If you don't remember the complete name, then you could just specify fire, and it will give you all the matching services that are running in your Linux environment. I'll see you in the next lecture. Hey folks, let's look at one of the favorites command of a system administrator or engineer to manage the system, which is top. Top command is used to show the Linux processes, and it provides a real-time view of the running system. This command shows the summary information of the system and the list of processes or threads which are currently managed by the Linux kernel. Now, when you run the top command, or when it is executed, it actually goes into an interactive mode. And you could run commands within that interactive mode. Now, if you wanted to get out of that interactive mode, then you have to hit Q on your keyboard to get out of it. Now, the usage of this command is simply by running the command top. You don't have to be a root user, but if you want to kill a process that is owned by root or any other process within the interactive mode of top, then you have to be the root user. So here is a list of columns that are displayed when you run the command top. And let's go over one by one. But before we do that, let's log in or go into our Linux machine, and we will run the command top together. All right, I am already logged into the Linux machine. Let's confirm who am I, where I am, and which machine I'm logged into. Beautiful, we clear that. Now let's go ahead and simply run the command top. All right, so right here is the output of the command. So starting from the top, it tells you the system uptime, the user logged in, and load average in terms of a minute, 5 minutes, and 15 minutes. Then it tells you the total number of tasks running in the system. Total 193, only one or two running. See, it changes. 191 are sleeping, 0 stopped, and 0 zombie. 0 zombie, or zombie just itself means, like, say if a process has a parent process and the parent process is dead or been killed, then that child process becomes a zombie process. Then we have the CPU information of the system. Then these two last lines are about the actual physical memory, and the swap, which is a virtual memory. Its usage, how much free we have, how much use, how much in buffer or cache. So this is what you have, the top 5 rows information. Now let's get into the columns. The first column is the PID, which shows the task unique process ID. So everything we run in Linux environment has, when you run application, it will generate processes or services. So basically we are looking at those processes and services through this top command. And um, a process ID is assigned to every process that is running or executed within Linux. And it is just like a Windows system as well. When you run a process in Windows, Windows operating system will assign a process ID as well. Then the second column is the user who is running that process or who's running that program. Then we have PR. This field shows the scheduling priority of the process. Then NI represents a nice value of the task. So if you could see from the left hand side, you see represents the nice value of a task. A negative value implies higher priority, and the positive nice value means a lower priority. Then you have a virtual, or the total virtual memory used by the task. So if you wanted to know specific command or process usage of a virtual machine, oh sorry, of a virtual memory, it is showing right here. And this is the memory consumed by the process in RAM. This is for the shared memory that represents the amount of shared memory used in a task. This single digits, this field shows the process state in the single letter form. All right, so then we have the CPU represents the CPU usage. Of course, this represents the physical memory usage of that process. The time, the CPU time, that time, the same time, but reflecting more granularity through hundredths of a second. So it goes deep down into the time. And the last one is the command or the process that actually running. And everything else on the left hand side are the associated values to that process or that task. All right, so you could actually get out of this interactive mode. You see, when you run it, you don't see your prompt. So if you wanted to get your prompt back, simply hit Q and you will get out of that interactive mode. All right, moving on. The other commands that we could use with the command is top minus u I absol or the username. This will show task process owned by a user. So when I go to the Linux machine and if I run top minus u with my name, and you will see it will only show the processes that are owned by me or running by my user. See right here, you don't see root here. If you wanted to view the same thing for root, you could do top minus u root, and you will see all the processes that are being executed by the user root. All right, beautiful. Moving on to the next one. When you run top, then you could press a C while you are in the interactive mode. This will show you the absolute path of that command. So let's go into our Linux machine right here and let's clear the screen and just simply run top. And right here, when you are in interactive mode, all you have to do is hit C on your keyboard and you will see right here it is giving you the absolute path of every command or that process is running. And this will tell you where exactly it is running from. All right, so let's queue out of it again and let's see what's the next one. Top, then press K. This will kill a process by process ID within the top session. Oh, okay, this is very good. So let's run top again. And let's say if I wanted to kill a process which is using up a lot of resources in my Linux environment, I could go and run the kill command, which we will cover later on. But for now, if you wanted to kill a process right here, then all you have to do is hit K on this session, and then it's going to ask you what process ID do you want to kill. So I wanted to kill this, for example, this top command that I'm running, which is 5216. So simply specify the process ID 5216 and hit enter and confirm, and boom, it's killed. That's why we are out of that top interactive mode. All right, moving on to the next one. You could run top and then uppercase M and P to sort all Linux running processes by memory usage. Okay, so let's do top. Now hit Shift M for uppercase M and then Shift P for process. So to run or to sort all the running process by memory usage. This is going to tell you which processes are the ones that are using most of your memory in the system. And this way you could go in, if your system is running slow, you could go in and simply kill that process. Okay, one important note is the top command refreshes the information every 30 seconds. Yes, so if you look closely, you're going to see every 3 seconds it refreshes the data or information that is being displayed. You could change that as well. There is a setting within that tab that you could change it to display or to refresh every 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or every 1 second. Okay, so this is all about the top command. Please make a note of everything that we covered in the top command because you will be using this top command on every day of your life in the system administration capacity and when you are managing a Linux system because this will save you a lot of headache when you are troubleshooting issues. I'll see you in the next lecture.